Good morning. I'm Pastor Yunus and I'll be doing our meditation for today. I hope everyone is having a wonderful fast as it continues. Today, I'll be doing my meditation on the last part of the verse in 2 Chronicles chapter 20 verse 20. And it says, "So they rose early in the morning and went into the wilderness of Tekoa. And as they went out, Jehoshaphat stood and said, 'Hear me, O Judah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem. Believe in the Lord your God, and you shall be established. Believe in his prophets, and you shall prosper.'" At this time, Jehoshaphat and the inhabitants of Judah would have been going into battle with several armies, and God would have spoken to them and said, "Put the worshippers in front," that he would deliver the enemies into their hands, but they had to put the worshippers to the front. Of course, this is very unconventional, and I could imagine a lot of persons, although they were following orders, would have been a bit skeptical about this approach. I'll be focusing on the last part of the verse, which says, "Believe his prophets, and you shall prosper." Believe. Minister Yusuf on Monday would have spoken to us on what it means to believe in someone or something. It means that he said it was a mindset that guides your behavior. So if you believe someone, then your operation will be according to that belief. And when you believe God's prophet, obedience is expected. And it says, believe his prophet. So who is he referring to? The prophet. And a prophet doesn't have any mystical powers or anything like that, but in essence, a prophet is a messenger of God. Whatever a prophet gives to you is what God has given to him to relate to you. So he's not some special being, but he's just a messenger of God. And it continues, believe his prophets, and you shall prosper. Now, it's important to understand that prosperity, according to the world standards, is not the same according to God's standard. For if the world looks at a lot of people who God would determine that they have prospered, the world might not agree. And the same goes for us when it comes to understanding what prosperity is. For a lot of us, we go after the job and the achievements, with accolades, with where you get a higher education and that kind of thing. And while that is great, it's not necessarily what God wants for us. So I want you today to meditate on what the prophet of God have said to you. Not just that you will be a great person, or you will be, or what you will be in the future, the person that God has you to be, but what are the things that the prophet would have said to you to do? Remember, belief is a mindset that guides our behavior. And if the prophet of God, speaking as a messenger of God, says to you, this is what you ought to do, even though that might not seem to be logical, conventional, are you being obedient? So many times we get caught up with the hype of this world, and we misunderstand that God doesn't judge prosperity based on what the world's standard is. So today, again, I want you all to remember what are the systems that God would have spoken to you through the prophet. Remember that for a lot of us, we believed the evangelists, and so we came to Christ, and now we have life more abundantly. So why not now believe his prophet and see God's prosperity? At the end of the story with Jehoshaphat and the people of Judah, the armies that rose up against them were utterly destroyed. They turned their weapons on each other, and so armies were destroyed. If Jehoshaphat had gone about it the conventional way, maybe he would have won. But it's more likely that they would have had many casualties. But God's way, there was none. Sometimes we just have to have that faith to do what God is just asking us to do. It's just about being obedient. So again, think about what God has spoken through his prophet to you to build in your life. What has he said to you to do in order to bring you to that place of prosperity? I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and thank you very much for listening.